Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
This year's revised syllabus has been published, and just like the previous year, 5 chapters are deleted. And the first chapter, we did not take that first chapter, reproduction in organisms, that is deleted. Then evolution is deleted, chapter 7. Evolution is deleted. And in first term, you have 5 chapters. Second term, 6 chapters. Out of those 5 chapters, we have completed reproduction, sexual reproduction in flowering plants, human reproduction, reproductive health, principles of inheritance and variation, and one more chapter we need to cover in term 1. That is molecular basis of inheritance. Usually I take it towards the end because it's a very lengthy chapter. It takes time. It's little difficult. Not very difficult, a bit difficult when compared to other chapters. And it's a vast chapter. So many subheadings are there. All have to be dealt with in detail also. But anyhow, since the term-wise portions have come, as soon as we complete this chapter, we will be starting with molecular basis of inheritance. And in the second term, you have 6 chapters. Human health and diseases, then microbes in human welfare, organisms and populations, biodiversity, and 2 biotechnology chapters, biotechnology principles and processes, biotechnology applications. So out of these 6 chapters, we have completed almost 3. When you complete this chapter, like 50% of the second term also will be completing. And in first term, we have only one more chapter to complete. Anyhow, I don't want to break it half the way or stop in between. So we'll be completing this chapter this week. And next week, we can start molecular basis of inheritance. Okay. And any confusion with the syllabus, you can ask. And the revised practical evaluation also, it was included in that. Practicals usually 30 marks in presence of an external examiner. But this year they have split into 2. That is term 1, 15 marks, and term 2, 15 marks. Term 1, internal, and term 2, external. Means in presence of an external examiner. Let's see what is going to happen. If things get better, classes will reopen soon. Maybe there'll be change for all the schedule given. Whatever it is, let us continue presently with the syllabus given. So we'll be continuing with organisms and populations. And from next class onwards, I may not remind you in between. From next class onwards, those who have to take seminar, be prepared. Next class means day after tomorrow. Whether we have 1 or 2 periods, depending upon the time, I might ask you to take seminar. So be prepared. Okay. So we'll be continuing with population interactions. Already we completed the first interaction. What was the first interaction that we learned? And now, which one we completed?
Predators.
Predation. And we learned about the significance of the role played by predators in an ecosystem. Can you just give me the main points about that? What are the roles played by predators in an ecosystem? Mehek?
Predators control prey population.
They help in controlling the prey population. They keep a check on the prey population. They will not multiply in an exponential rate. Okay, then. Second point, Rijas.
They can maintain diversity in community.
They help in maintaining biodiversity or biological diversity. Third point, Sania.
Biological control methods are based on ability of predator to regulate the prey population.
So they play an important role in carrying out biological control. Okay, biological control methods you've already learned to control pests and other harmful organisms. Instead of using chemical fertilizers, we can make use of this biological control method. So predators play an important role in controlling the prey population. Okay, this prey can be the pest of some crops or some other plants. They can be harmful. So predators will help in keeping a check on their population and helps in carrying out biological control successfully. Sania, you had agreed to take seminar, no? What was your topic?
Yes.
Today you're ready?
No, ma'am.
Last class you said connectivity problem. That means you were prepared last class. And this year no connectivity issue.
No, ma'am. I was ready, but today when I opened my PPT, it is not working. It got
Be
quiet.
prepared next day. Be prepared next day. Okay. So we are going to proceed to the next type of population interaction, that is competition. So let's learn more about competition. It's a process in which fitness of one species. Fitness means reproductive fitness. That's why they have given R value in brackets. What is R value? What is R value, Punya? Can't hear. Steffi, what is R value?
Ma'am, I forgot.
Gayatri?
Intrinsic rate of natural decrease.
Steffi can repeat.
Intrinsic rate of natural.
Intrinsic rate of natural increase. That means its ability to reproduce. So that fitness means reproductive fitness. So the fitness of one species is significantly lower in presence of another species. So when related species are present in an area or several species are present in an area, its fitness will depend upon, or when other species are present, this can influence the R value or its fitness. So when a particular species is living in a habitat, its reproductive fitness can be influenced by the presence of other species. Interspecific competition. Interspecific competition is the competition existing among the members of different species, organisms of different species. Interspecific, between different species. It's a very important, it's a potent force in organic evolution. These interspecific competitions can lead to evolution. It can lead to the origin of species and finally can lead to the organic evolution. So you have already learned when there arises a competition between different species, the fittest one will survive, and the fittest one will be those which are having favorable variations to get adapted to the changing environment. So this can lead to organic evolution, not within a day or two, gradually over the years. This can lead to organic evolution. Interspecific competition is a very important factor, a potent force in organic evolution. Competition occurs when closely related species, they compete for the same limited resources. When species are closely related, their resources on which they depend also will be similar. Because they are related species, the requirements also will be similar. And that too, when the resources are limited, there arises a competition between these related species. So whenever there is a competition, you know that whatever be the competition, only the best one, the fittest one will be winning that competition. Same is the case over here. When there are several species living in an area, they are depending on the same resources. And if those resources are limited, definitely the fittest one will be able to get an access to these resources and only they will be able to survive. So competition occurs when, so here you can see closely related species fighting for the same resources. So closely related species, they compete for the same limited resources. You can see the picture of flamingos, zebras, then hyena. Okay. Unrelated species. Unrelated species can also compete for the resource. So in the previous slide, I told you when different species are living in a particular habitat, there can be a competition for the same resources between different species, which are closely, I told you, closely related. At the same time, competition can take place between unrelated species also. It's not necessary that they should be related. But if they depend on the same resources, even though the species are unrelated, if the resources on which they depend on are same, there can be a competition. So one such example is flamingos and fishes found in the shallow South American lakes. Both of them feed on zooplankton. Zooplankton means the microscopic animals found in water bodies. So both feed on zooplankton. So there can be, when they are sharing the same habitat, there arises a competition between these two different, totally unrelated species for the same resources. Competition occurs in abundant resources also. So not only when the resources, so that was the first condition that I said, when the resources are limited and if the requirements, if the different species are having the same requirements, then there can be a competition. And a second point we learned that if the resources on which the organisms depend on are same, there can be competition between unrelated resources also. Now coming to the third point, at times, there can be competition even if resources are in plenty. Abundant resources are there. Still there can be competition. So let's see how. For example, interference competition. We call it as, this phenomenon as interference competition. Let's see what is interference competition. The feeding efficiency of one species will be reduced due to the interfering or inhibitory presence of the other species, even if resources are abundant. So in a particular habitat, there are different species, and just assume that these, all of them are depending upon the same resources, and the feeding efficiency of comparatively weaker ones, it will get affected because a superior one with better feeding efficiency is present in the same habitat. So they can, even if the resources are abundant, plenty of resources are there, but one is having better feeding efficiency when compared to the other, the presence of such species can interfere with the access of resources by the inferior species. Hope you are getting the point. So I told you that in competition, there arises a competition for the limited resources between the members of different species. That was the first case that I said. In a particular habitat, several species are there, resources are limited, they all depend on the same resource. There arises a competition. Second case, it is not necessary that the competing species should be related. Even if they are unrelated, but their requirements are same, there can be a competition between unrelated species. And the third point, here no limit for the resources. Plenty of resources, abundant resources are there. Still there can arise competition. When the feeding efficiency of one superior species is interfering with the feeding efficiency of other species. So such a phenomenon, or this phenomenon, is known as interference competition. Now some examples for competition are given here. Abingdon tortoise and in Galapagos Islands. So this tortoise was found in Galapagos Islands, but it became extinct. These became extinct within a decade after goats were introduced into the island due to greater browsing efficiency of the gods. So that is an example for interference competition. Resources were in plenty, and in the same habitat, Abingdon tortoise was there, that is Galapagos Islands. They were living peacefully, but what happened in between? Gods were introduced into the habitat. But once the gods were introduced, they could not withstand the competition pressure posed by them, because they had a better feeding efficiency, better browsing efficiency. So they could not withstand, they could not compete with gods. So gradually, within almost around 10 years, they became extinct because they were not having access to the food because of the better feeding efficiency of gods. So that is an example for interference competition. Abingdon tortoise in Galapagos Islands became extinct within a decade after gods were introduced. And what was the reason? The gods, because of the gods, they had in their era is, or there arose an interference competition because of the better feeding efficiency of gods. Abingdon tortoise could not get access, or they were not able to access food, even though the food was in plenty. So you can see the picture of Abingdon tortoise. The next phenomenon, competitive release. So hope you have understood what is meant by interference competition. Interference competition, we'll see it once again. The feeding efficiency of one species gets reduced due to the interfering and inhibitory presence of other species. And as a result, the superior species will thrive and the inferior one can become extinct. And here the resources will be abundant. Even in the presence of plenty of resources, the feeding efficiency of the superior ones can interfere with the feeding efficiency of the inferior species. Example is the interference competition between Abingdon tortoise and gods. When gods were introduced into Galapagos Islands, Abingdon tortoise could not withstand the competition pressure and they became extinct. Gods were having better browsing efficiency compared to Abingdon tortoise. Competitive release. A species restricted to a small geographical area due to the presence of a competitively superior species expands its distributional range when the competing species is experimentally removed. You can take the case of Abingdon tortoise and gods. Now we know that the tortoise has become extinct. But say, for example, just assume that these gods were removed before they became extinct. Just assume. I'm not saying a fact. Just assume that in Galapagos Islands, Abingdon tortoise and gods were there. And when the number of Abingdon tortoise started reducing, say, for example, the gods were removed from that area, then we could have seen. So if that was done, maybe we could have seen a sudden increase in the population of Abingdon tortoise. So that is known as competitive release. A species restricted to a small geographical area. Why they got restricted to a small geographical area? Because within the same habitat, there was a competitively superior species. So because of their presence, they were not able to increase its number. So that was a competition posed or competition given to them by the other species. So, but when that competitively superior species got removed from that area, the inferior one will expand. They'll start spreading in that habitat, expands its distributional range. Okay, hope you got it. Competitive release, I'll repeat again. A species restricted to a small geographical area. Why it got restricted to a small area? Because in the same habitat, there was a competitively superior species. So they were not able to expand its population and spread on the entire area. But on an experimental basis, when that competitively superior species were removed, they could increase its number, they could expand, and they could expand its distributional range. Clear? Once again, a species restricted to a small geographical area expands its distributional range when the competitively superior one or when the competing species is experimentally removed. Did you understand the concept? Can I get an answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, this is an example for the point what I said, I asked you to assume or I gave an imaginary example of Ebbington tortoise and gods, but actually Ebbington tortoise got extinct because of the competition given by the goats. But here you can see another example. Cornell's field experiment showed that on the rocky sea coast of Scotland, okay, on the rocky sea coast of Scotland. So there, the scientist Cornell, he conducted some field experiments, and what did he do? He in the rocky coast of Scotland, the larger and competitively superior barnacle. Barnacles, it's an arthropod. It is related to lobsters, crabs. It comes under the subphylum Crustacea. These are arthropods. Barnacle, it's a type of arthropods coming under the phylum Arthropoda, subphylum Crustacea, closely related to lobsters, crabs, etc. Okay, barnacle, the name of the barnacle is Balanus. It will dominate the intertidal zone and it will exclude the smaller barnacle. Just a minute. Repeating again, in that particular region, in the intertidal area on the rocky sea coast of Scotland, two species of or two types of barnacles. One is barnacle Balanus, the other one Ichthyomalus. Okay, Ichthyomalus barnacle and Balanus barnacle. And the superior one was Balanus, and the smaller inferior one in terms of the competition, I'm saying the competitively superior one was the barnacle Balanus, and the inferior one was barnacle Ichthyomalus. And what happened was the larger and the competitively superior barnacle Balanus was dominating, and they were widespread and in that area. They were dominating in that area, whereas the smaller barnacle were excluded. They were not allowed to dominate in that area. This is a picture of Balanus, and they were restricted to a smaller area. Just a minute. So here you can see the picture of Balanus. I'll repeat it again. We learned about interference competition. In interference competition, I told you that a species, in interference competition, the feeding efficiency of a particular species can interfere with the feeding efficiency of the inferior species. That is interference competition. The feeding efficiency of one species will get reduced because of the better feeding efficiency of the other superior species, or else you can say the feeding efficiency of one species will be reduced by the interfering and inhibitory presence of the other species, even if resources are abundant. And then we saw the case of Ebbington tortoise in Galapagos Island, and this particular tortoise, they were thriving in that habitat, but once gods were introduced, they could not withstand the better feeding efficiency, or they were competitively superior to Ebbington tortoise, and they could not withstand, or they could not compete with the browsing efficiency of the gods, and within 10 years, almost around 10 years, they got extinct. Then I told you about competitive release, and in competitive release I told you a species which is usually restricted to a small geographical area, and it is restricted to that small area because of the presence of a competitively superior one in that habitat. But if you remove that competitively superior species from there, the inferior species which was originally restricted to a small area will be able to expand its distributional range because no competition. So they will be able to spread across the entire habitat. And I give you an example for that. That is in the rocky sea coast of Scotland, the scientist Cornell, he just conducted some field experiments, and he found that there two barnacles, barnacle Balanus and the other smaller barnacle Ichthyomalus, These were found in that particular habitat. But because of the presence of the barnacle Balanus, the inferior or the smaller barnacle Ecothamallus were not able to spread across that zone. They were excluded from that area. They were limited to a smaller area, whereas the dominating species were barnacle Balanus. And here, if we try to, or if we remove the Balanus from the zone, you can find that the inferior or the smaller barnacle Ecothamallus will be able to spread the, will be able to multiply and spread the entire area. Hope you are getting the point. And what is limiting from them from spreading across the entire habitat? The presence of a competitively superior one. So here in this example also you can find two barnacles. One is competitively superior to the smaller barnacle Ecothamallus. And when Balanus is present, Ecothamallus is restricted to a smaller area. They are excluded from that rocky sea coast, because they were not able to multiply and dominate in that region because of the presence of the barnacle Balanus. And you can see the picture of Balanus over here. Next, we are going to learn about Gough's competitive exclusion principle. So before that, let us summarize the different points that we learned about competition. So quickly you can summarize. Malavika, you may start. What is competition?
Fitness of one species is lower in the presence of another species.
What is lower?
Fitness
Fitness, in brackets, what is given?
of one species lower.
Fitness means, what is fitness here? In bracket, what
R
is
value.
R value? What is R? What is R? Intrinsic? Malavika?
Reproductive.
Reproductive fitness, or R value has got an, we have learned what is meant by R value. Intrinsic rate of natural increase. What is that? Yes, Malavika?
Intrinsic rate of natural increase.
Intrinsic rate of natural increase. Then, and we also learned that it is a very important factor, or interspecific competition or competition between different species can is an important factor leading to organic evolution. Then what else we learned? The different situations when competition is taking place, we discussed. Meenakshi?
Competitions when the closely related species are competing for limited resources.
So when closely related species are found in a particular habitat, and if they are competing for the same resource, and if those resources are limited, there can be a competition. Then Gayatri, what is the next case that we learned?
Totally unrelated species could also compete for resources.
When if they are depending on the
Same resource.
Can you give an example for that? Unrelated species competing for the same resources. Lydia? Lydia? Unmute first. When you get a question, as soon as you hear it, unmute.
Flamingo.
Flamingos? With whom are they competing?
And
With
fishes.
For what? For what they are competing?
Lakes.
Lake. They're competing for lake? Present in lakes. What present in lakes? Starting with Z.
Zooplankton.
Zooplankton, microscopic animals living in the water body. So that is an example where unrelated species compete for the same resources. Now read next point.
Competition occurs when resources are abundant also.
What do you call that? We learned a phenomenon.
Interference competition.
Okay, tell me. Rijas, tell me, what is interference competition?
It is on the feeding efficiency of one species is inhibited due to a superior
The feeding efficiency of one species is inhibited or interfered
Interfered.
by
Another species.
once again, repeat it.
The feeding efficiency of one species is inhibited and interfered by another species in an
Comma, something more you have to add.
even if resources are abundant.
Even if resources are abundant, that is important, that you should not skip. Okay, then the examples, what are the examples that we learned, Sharon?
Abingdon tortoise in
Tortoise.
Galapagos Island. They became extinct
Why they became extinct?
because the gods were introduced
The
due
problem-
to the greater browsing efficiency.
The gods had better browsing efficiency, so they could not withstand the competition and they got extinct. And the next example, next what did we learn after that? Competitive release. What is competitive release, Nandana?
A species that is restricted to a small geographical area expands itself when the competing superior species is removed.
Yes. Once again.
A species that is restricted to a small geographical area, it expands itself when the superior species is removed.
Okay. Then what else we learned? That's it, no? One example we learned about the barnacles. What is that example? Anna?
It is the Rocky Sea Island, sea coast of Scotland. There was a larger and competitively superior barnacle, which dominates the intertidal area and excludes the other barnacle.
Excludes means what? They'll be removed from that area. Okay. Now say for, Anna has to answer. Say for example, if Balanus was removed from there or the entire species got removed on an experimental basis, then what will happen?
They won't be
They won't be there. Then what will happen to the population of Ectomalus or the smaller barnacle? They'll be able to multiply and spread across the area. Am I right? Yes. Competitive release is taking place. Earlier, the dominating species was present, so they were not able to spread across the habitat because the other species was dominating or the other barnacle was dominating. Once that is removed, the smaller one will be able to thrive well over there. Okay. Any doubts? Why so many videos are off? Any doubt? Do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So do respond. So with that, I think we have to complete GOES competitive exclusion principle. So if that is over, then we'll be completing competition. So we have one more period. So during that period, we'll continue. Okay. So let's see. I hope within 2-3 periods, we'll be able to complete this chapter. And then, as I told you, we'll be proceeding to molecular basis of inheritance. And once I start the chapter, it is very important that all the chapters are like that, but especially that particular chapter, if you miss the class, you will find it very difficult to understand what has been taken, because reading the textbook, other chapters maybe just by reading you might understand the concepts, but the next chapter is not like that. So as far as possible, don't skip any class, chapter 6, because it's a new topic. So far you have not learned such a topic, molecular basis of inheritance or genetics you have learned, but biotechnology topics, it is new for you. And about molecular basis, DNA, very briefly you have learned, but we are going into details. So don't miss any of the classes. Not really about the next chapter, I'm saying, whatever be the subject, whatever be the chapter or topics the teachers are dealing, see that as far as possible, Don't skip any of the classes. You will find it very difficult. Now term 1 and term 2 tests are going to be conducted. Don't take it very lightly. That will be tougher than the descriptive test, because you might think it is easy to score, but it will be super easy to lose marks also. Okay, once it is lost, it is lost. You can't do anything. All these marks we will have to upload also. So you have to get enough practice. You have to be thorough with the nook and corner of your textbook. Only then you will be able to attempt and score well in the MCQ test. Hope you are getting it. Don't take it lightly. Now you have to be more cautious and careful. Descriptive means 1 or 2 points in between. If it goes wrong also, you will get some marks. But here, 1 mark question, that is wrong. Not even quarter or half mark you will get. It is gone. So you have to be very careful while attempting the test, and while preparing also. You have to be very careful. Try to solve as many as sample papers or objective tests possible. And whatever I have, I'll be forwarding it. So practice well, prepare well. Your periodic tests are going to start on 2nd. And the portions which I've given, we have already completed descriptive tests for that, no? I think all the chapters we have completed MCQ or any of the tests we have done. So please prepare well, and I've selected one difficult and one easy, one not difficult, lengthy, and one small chapter. Hope you're comfortable with that selection of chapters, no? It's fine, no? I'm not speaking to myself. I'm speaking to my students. Respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. See you next period.